Racecourse is the most beautiful racetrack in America, hands down.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I welcome you to the breeding stock sale. Book one. Good to have you back with us.
And welcome in. Good Thursday night, everybody, for the 15th and final time of this spring meet at Keeneland. I'm Jeremy Plonk from Horse Player Now with the Keeneland Look Ahead, as we're going to take a look at the entire 10-race closing day program on Friday at Keeneland. We've got the Bewitched Stakes as the headliner, and boy, do we have a headline act for you on Friday afternoon when Warlike Goddess makes her return to the races. Should be a fantastic day to see that superstar mare. She's back to defend her title. Special post time we want to remind you about. 12:30 is the first post on closing day because there's a all ages horses of racing age sale after the races. So a little double header for those of the folks in the racing industry, the horsemen and the owners and breeders and trainers. Keeneland Racing by day. Then we got the all ages horses of racing age sale coming up after the races. So that's the reason for the 12:30 start time. Let's get into a little recap of what we saw on the program on Thursday here at Keeneland, where Tyler Gaffleone picked up 2 wins, and we'll talk about the implications of that and his chase to defend a riding title here at Keeneland once again. Early speed on the turf was good. 2 wire-to-wire winners going long on the grass. That's been a theme here over the course of closing weekend as temperatures in week 3 really warmed up and the turf course firmed up quite a bit. Again, 2 wire-to-wire winners on the turf going long today. That was good news for us. That was 2 of our 5 winners on the card. If you were watching the program last night, we hit 2 of our best bets and the other one scratched. So worked out well for us, and the front-end speed horses certainly worked out well for us late in the day. So good day handicapping as we go into the final day of the meet, assured of a most profitable racing meet here at Keeneland. ROI pushing almost $3 for every $2 bet on our top selections for the meet for the entire racing season, every race, every day, that you can get those picks on the handicappers consensus at Keeneland.com. We'll review all the handicappers picks for the closing day card in just a moment. Special post time again, 12:30, the Bewitched Stakes, the headline race. And if we're looking ahead to the Jockeys Challenge, the Jockeys title, I should say, closing day lines up like this. Tyler Gaffleone's got 17 wins at the meet. He rides 8 of the 10 races on the card closing day Friday. Irad Ortiz, 15 wins. He's 2 behind. Tyler got the win on the last race on the card to push himself to have a little extra buffer. Irad rides 6 on closing day. Flavian Pratt's still within shouting distance. He's got 5 mounts, 15 wins, so he's going to have to pick up 2 or 3. And Luis Saya is still mathematically alive. He's 5 behind. He's got 6 mounts. He's going to need to run the table, flop a straight, as they say, or flop the flush, whatever it's going to take. He's going to need a big day to get there, but Luis Saya is still a very good meet for him, but he's probably not going to win the title unless there's one of the more remarkable days in a spring meet here at Keeneland. As for the trainers, look, it went down to the very last race in the fall meet where Brad Cox won the training title of Wesley Ward. We're maybe shaken up to almost the same sort of situation here. As we get to the final day of racing, Wesley Ward's got 11 wins. He's got horses in races 2, 5, and 7. Brad Cox has 11 wins. He has horses in races 6, 7, and 10. They're not both going to be in the finale, but Cox will be in the finale. They'll both be in race number 7. We're in for some fireworks in the trainers race over the final day, to be sure. So let's get handicapping on this card for Friday. Again, 10 races, 12:30, the first post time. As we always do here on the Keeneland Look Ahead, we want to give you a overview of the entire program in a singular look. And if I can find my tools here for this, why don't we, while I do a little bit of adjustment on the fly, we're live here. Let's take a highlight look at Warlike Goddess's win last year in the Bewitched Stakes. She's the headliner on the card. While you do that, I'll get the big board fired up.
Warlike Goddess still 8 lengths from the lead and behind horses into the far turn. Past the plate, English Affair at the back. It's a 3-way shuffle for the lead, though. It is 3 Flamingos to the inside. Dominga tries to draw alongside, and Dalika wanting to join them from third, a length off the front pair, but inching forward out in the center of the course. And Delta's Kingdom moves into contention, but has to go wide in fourth. California Queen is looking for room down toward the inside, trying to find it now between horses. So far has not been able to do so. 3 Flamingos with the lead. Dalika right there. Dominga fighting on. Here comes Delta's Kingdom. Warlike Goddess picks up the leaders now. California Queen behind horses. Warlike Goddess running on past everybody. The Bewitched Stakes is over. Warlike Goddess, Julienne Leperoux to win it.
So she's the big one, and here's the big picture. Let's take a look at the program for closing day with 10 races. Mandatory payout in the pick 6, but there is no carryover. Pick 6 was hit on the Thursday card. So pick 6 will start in race number 5. Keeneland Turf pick 3 will be races 6, 8, and 10. The Bewitched Stakes is the 8th race, and that's where Warlike Goddess will be featured. 6, 8, and 10 for the Keeneland Turf pick 3. Early pick 5 will be races 1 through 5. The early pick 4, 2 through 5 as normal. We close the second half of the card with a pick 5 beginning in race 6, and then the late pick 4, $200,000 guaranteed pools on Friday. Late pick 4, races 7 through 10. So there are no swing races in a 10-race card. All the sequences separate from themselves in terms of the early and late. And our top plays that we need to kind of get home to make this a profitable closing day. We've got one for you in race number 3, who's 6-1 in the morning line and exiting a race versus a next out bear. It's a horse we've already seen win at the meet and win impressively. We'll see if that can't become a key race for us in race number 3. Key race angle's been big for delivering us some winners at the meet. We'll try to do it one more time. We'll talk about that horse individually when we get to Wilhelmina in race number 3. 4th race, we've got a couple favorites in there and a horse who's third choice in the morning line who are either questionable at the distance or on the turf. I think we got a shot in there at 8-1 to try to upend a race where the favorites look vulnerable. So we'll try to attack that in race number 4. So you can see right away, races 3 and 4 early in the day are some of my key plays. As you look back up at the big picture, early pick 5, races 1 through 5. Early pick 4, races 2 through 5. 2 of our key plays are going to come in that front sequence. So while many of the days our key plays have come later in the card, it looks like on closing day, early part of the card is going to be very important for us. Then in the last race, the final race of the program, race 10, the turf pick 3 is involved there. And I think there's a morning line favorite who's 7-2 in the morning line, who I think looks solid. And I like this horse quite a bit. We've got a big field to work with, capacity field on the grass in the finale. So I think it's a good exotics race to attack because I think the horse is stronger of a favorite than maybe the public will in this case, and certainly at the morning line indicates. And if that's the case, we can deliver a nice price. And that's what we're looking to do. You know, we're looking to get the best horse at the best price. That's what this is all about. And that doesn't mean you go fishing for other horses that you don't like. But the ones you do like and you get a good price, that's when you got to pounce. And I kind of think we might get that in the finale. But as always, if you've got a good bet late in the day, you've got to be patient. You've got to manage your bankroll good, you know. And so keep money on the side. Be ready for that last race. There are no ATM trips or extra deposits into your account in a day. I mean, you want to be prepared for all situations. And I think the last race on the card is a race where you want to have some of your money lined up. Let's get to this 10-race card and go through each race for you. We'll take a look at the handicapper selectors box at Keeneland.com. The handicapper's consensus, free to take a look at each day. Gives you a good sense of where the popular horses are among all the public handicappers, and you'll kind of figure out, okay, those will be the low price favorites and the singled horses. Although 3 of us were lined up on an $11 winner today, so it was good for us in the 7th race today. Scott, Gabby, and myself were all on Beside Herself, and that was a case where we still got 11-20 on the winner with 3 of the 5 handicappers on top. But as you look through the program, we'll kind of refer to which races look like they might be a little bit more wide open and which ones look like they might be more dialed in by the public based on how the public handicappers look at them. First on the card is a mile and a 16th race, $50,000 upper level claimers in here. And this has a field of 6. Upper level claimers, fairgrounds horses typically do pretty well in here. American Tattoo is the 4. And a horse who does represent Fairgrounds in here. Norm Cassie trains. He's had a pretty decent meet. I think American Tattoo's one who, on paper to me, looks like a horse is going to be kind of no lead, no pass. I don't think he's going to get to the front, and I don't think he's going to pass horses. So that's why I don't have him in my top three. But you can make a case for him if you think the pace scenario works out a little bit differently than how I see it. I went with the 6 Pikachu in here. Eddie Keneally's had a nice meet, especially since about the second half of the meet. He's really turned it on. Pikachu's a horse who's won 14 career races. If you look at the rest of the horses in this race, this is kind of like a non-winners of 3 lifetime, non-winners of 4 lifetime for the most part. Pikachu's got a stacked resume and a horse who's run well here at Keeneland. 3 times running first or second from 6 starts. So been holed up at Turfway over the course of the winter and spring. Hasn't been back at Keeneland in a while since last April. Didn't run here at all during the fall meet. And first time since being claimed by Keneally back here at Keeneland. I'll take my chance with Pikachu. Not a great opinion in race number 1. I think you want to go deep in here. I think 6, 1, 3, 4. I think you could go 4 deep here in the pick 4 and pick 5. And as you remember, as we go back and take a look at the big picture, our key plays were coming up in races 3 and 4. So if we're dialed in and locked in races 3 and 4 with horses we like, then we can spread a little bit in some of these other races and try to take down the pick 5. So I think you might, even though it's a 6-horse field, I think 4 of them are legitimate players in race number 1 and horses that you would want to consider. Second race on the program, as we look across the handicapper selectors box, Scott's Own Love Reigns, the 1. Delight is the top pick for Tom and I, and then Love Reigns is the top pick for Gabby and Kim. So this looks like 1 and 8, right? I mean, you look across there, and it looks like that should be it. 2 handicappers with Delight, 3 with Love Reigns. Most have the other in their top 3 somewhere. So Love Reigns, the 1 is Wesley Ward, of course, and the 8 Delight is Jonathan Thomas. Thomas has had a good meet with limited starters here at Keeneland. They've all been running. I went with Delight because this horse is a 2-year-old by Mendelssohn. Mendelssohn, obviously a really good juvenile turf in the Breeders' Cup and a horse who went on to a nice career. Win early type. I think Mendelssohn can get some win early horses. This horse was a $400,000 purchase in March. You don't buy him in March and then run him back in April unless you think for $400,000, unless you're thinking quick return on the investment. Augustin Stables has this one. I think it's Delight, the horse to beat, but 5.5 turf sprints have been Wesley Ward territory. He's dominated them throughout the course of this meet at Keeneland. And historically, we haven't had many of these 2-year-old maiden races. We had 4 of them last year on the turf, 2-year-old maiden turf races, that is, in the spring. And Wesley won all 4 of them last year. He hadn't had quite the same hammer lock on the division this year, but he means business with these horses. Love Reigns, obviously a combo that won from the rail on Wednesday's card. It was Irad Ortiz, Wesley Ward coming up the fence, winning in a full field turf sprint. We don't see the 1-horse win from the rail in turf sprints very often with a full field. It was just the second time since 2006 that we saw one do it earlier this week when it was Ward and Irad, and with a first-time starter with a really impressive performance. Love Reigns is going to have to be that good again to do that. Maybe so. Could be the 1, and I think it's definitely a horse to respect. I would definitely use the 8 and the 1 in the multi-race wagers. I also think the 12 in here, Rivka, the other Wesley Ward, by no nay never, win early pedigree, Johnny V rides. The outside post doesn't scare me in full field turf sprints. They actually handle their business fairly well. 3, 4, and 5 are the power posts. I love to bet horses into 3, 4, 5. I just couldn't find one I liked here, honestly. Maybe Moon Magic Chrissy, the 5 first-time starter for Eddie Keneally, with a good work. So if you were to go 4 deep in here, I would use the 2 Wesley Wards, the 1 and the 12. Definitely like the 8 Delight, the Mendelssohn first-time starter. And then the 5 from the power post. I love the 3, 4, 5. And we had a power post winner today. Pay 10 or 11 bucks for Wayne Catalano in the turf sprint early in the card today. So power post remains a factor. The only one of those I like, though, in the 3, 4, 5 at all would be the 5 Moon Magic Chrissy. So 8, 1, 12, 5. I think we go 4 deep in here in race number 2 in the multi-race wagers, and that's going to kick off the early pick 4. So if we're 4 deep in the opener, 4 deep in the second, we're going to have to start narrowing this down for us playing the pick 5 on the early portion of the program. And in race number 3, we get one of our key plays here. This is a 6-1 shot exiting a key race. And who are we talking about? It's number 10, Wilhelmina. Wilhelmina, my top choice in here. Also, Tom Leach has Wilhelmina on top. And the two of us are going to go barreling in here. Wilhelmina also picked by Gabby and Kim underneath. But Wilhelmina, the reason I like this horse, comes off a fourth-place finish last time behind Mercy Warren, who was a runaway winner by 4 3/4. If the name Mercy Warren from Fairgrounds sounds familiar, it should. This horse won a starter allowance on April 13th here at Keeneland by 7 lengths. Romped in a starter allowance second time out. Again, Keneally's had a good second half of the meet. He does well with the maiden claimers overall here at Keeneland. So I think the 10, Wilhelmina, is a horse I'm going to lock in on. In fact, I am singling Wilhelmina in a race number 3 for the early pick 4 and the early pick 5. The other horses in here that I give some shot to, the 1 Canary, the 5 next Tuesday. But there's nothing amongst those other horses that I have a great feel for. I mean, is Wilhelmina a lead pipe cinch, the kind of like 3 to 5 shot that you want to be singling in a pick 4 or pick 5? You know, not if you're faint of heart, but this is a horse who I think will be a fair price. I don't think we'll get the 6 to 1 morning line, but we could get 7 to 2, 4 to 1. Speed figures aren't huge, and that'll scare some people away, and that's just fine with me with a young horse who could make a big step forward. Wilhelmina, third-time starter. Love her in this spot, and she's going to be my single in race number 3, one of our key plays early in the card. To the 4th we go, where we have back-to-back key plays on this program. We told you, race number 4, the favorites look vulnerable at a distance on turf and around a mile and a 16th trip. And we've got an 8 to 1 shot here, the morning line that we like, named number 3, Close Knit. Close Knit, our top choice as we go back to the handicappers' consensus. And welcome to the island. Maybe it's Fantasy Island this time. Close Knit, the only top choice you see on the board is the one I've got there. Tom Leach did give the 3 Close Knit a call. Nobody else on this one. But Vicky Oliver trains. Rafael Bejarano rides. They've had a really good meet. A resurgent second half of the meet. Bejarano's had a good week 3, coming into week 4 now. Vicky Oliver's had a really nice meet, winning 3-4 races with fair price horses, turf horses. This is kind of her MO when she's going to win at Keeneland. And I think Close Knit is going to get the job done here because this is a horse who's already proven on turf, ran a good race at a mile at Ellis Park in the career debut, has been kind of bouncing around, had an off-the-turf race, a couple synthetic races at Turfway. Distance is not going to be any problem at all with Close Knit. But you look at some of the favorites in here and you wonder about the distance for the 11 Pancake House. You know, this will be one of the favorites. Pancake House has a tough post, an outside draw from the 11 hole, stretching out from 6 furlongs to the mile and a 16th. Same way with the 12, Make You Happy. This is another horse who the distance is a question mark with. The 7, Tangled Emotions, there's questions about the distance. And I think the 4, Flying Fred, may be better on the dirt. When I talk about there's questions about turf with some of these horses and distance, Flying Fred, the 4, with Tyler Gaffleone, this is a horse who just, the races on dirt that were taken off turf were better performances, the washed-off races, than what Flying Fred did on dirt. So I'm thinking that the best horse in here for a distance race and on the turf is the 3, Close Knit. And that would be my second key play. So races 3 and 4, how do we strategize this? Look, we come with a single in race number 3 in the pick 4. In race number 4, though, I'm not singling in here. I'm also going to use the 6 Summer Anthem in the multi-race bets. And I'm going to drop the 11 Pancake House. I'm going to try to get by 2 deep here. So we're 4 in the first, 4 in the second, single in the third. And this 4th race, I like Close Knit. I think it's going to be a great shot at a price. But I think the one to fear is the 6 Summer Anthem. So I'm going to use the 3 and the 6. Now, again, with back-to-back races where you have key plays you like, race 3, race 4, that's daily double time, right? It's like a parlay if you're betting sports, a 2-team parlay. I want to hit the winner of the 3rd into the winner of the 4th. So I'm definitely going to get a rolling daily double races 3 and 4, and that would be a 10-3 combination, Wilhelmina to Close Knit. If I can get these horses to win back-to-back, I not only want to hit the winners when I bet them intra-race, I also want to take down the daily double and get rewarded for having a strong opinion in back-to-back races. So whenever you have 2 races in a row where you have horses you really like on a card, you got 3 ways to go after it. Win bets in both, and then that daily double. If you can get them both, if you get 1 out of the 2, you're going to be fine. If you get 2 out of 2, you're going to be great. And if you get 2 out of 2 plus the double, you can make your day and maybe make your week that way if they're good enough prices. So daily double races 3 and 4 will be a key play for us on this Friday program. To the fifth race we go, and next up in race number 5 is a maiden special weight race at 6.5 furlongs. And while I have some stronger opinions in races 3 and 4, I'm not wild about this one in terms of if I've got the right one or not. I did take the 6th Dominican Pioneer. This is Wesley Ward teaming up with John Velasquez. Horse had a good work April 13th, came back and worked again on the 20th, was entered earlier in the meet and scratched. And we see this with Wesley often. He'll scratch horses and then come back for other spots later in the meet. This Pioneer of the Nile colt, I think, will be best in here, but we'll see. It hasn't been one of those meets for Wesley Ward with the young first-time starter types, except on the grass where he's had a ton of success. But Dominican Pioneer, I think 3-year-old could debut the winner here. That'll be my top pick. The 4 Cyclone goes for Joe Sharp, has been knocking on the door down at Fairgrounds. I think the horse will like the 6.5. 5.5 was just too short. They tried to make a turf sprinter out of this horse. 3 times were washed off the turf, only got 1 race on the grass. So I think Cyclone at 6.5, that distance could hit this one well. The 3 Woodline, definitely a player in here. But certainly with Woodline, hasn't run to the pedigree by Gunrunner out of a really nice mare named Blip in the Bly. If you watched her back in the Polytrack era, was a good mare here sprinting at Keeneland. But Woodline, for the form last year in 2021, couldn't finish the deal in shorter races. I'm a little concerned about the 6.5, but I think there's talent there. Steve Asmussen goes to Joel Rosario. First time back, maybe they got things corrected here. See if this horse with Lasix, didn't have Lasix last year and was getting tired at the end of the races. That could have been an issue there. It could have been a bleeder. And now with the Lasix, Woodline first Lasix may carry that speed further to 6.5. So I definitely want to use the 6, the 4, and the 3. And then you got the 8 Unified Dreams, who's the first-time starter with a big work for a barn, Jordan Blair, who you don't expect is, is this a big first-time starter barn? Actually has very good numbers with the first-time starters. So I wouldn't be surprised if the 8 Unified Dreams can run a little bit. You definitely want to use 6, 4, and 3, I think, to close out the early pick 5 and the early pick 4. But I also would consider throwing the 8 in there, especially if there's any scratches along the way, and your budget will allow it. But the 8 Unified Dreams could be a horse to use in the 5th race. Let's go to the 6th on the card. It's an allowance race, non-winners of 3 lifetime. 1 mile and 1/8 the distance in race number 6. And the Bees have it here. It's Bloodline for Scott and Tom. It's Bochambo for myself, Gabby, and also for Kim Nelson. So 6 and 3, 2 numbers you see pretty consistent across the way. And in the 6th race, as we go to the big board and look how the card sets up, the 6th race will be important in that it's part of the Turf Pick 3, first leg of the Keeneland Turf Pick 3. It also kicks off the late Pick 5. And for all arguments right now, you would say it's a 2-horse race, and you probably go too deep with Bloodline for Brad Cox and Bochambo for Ruben Alvarado, who's the former assistant to Peter Miller, I believe, out in California. So, yeah, this is a horse from Southern California coming in and could be loose on the lead. I have no idea if Bochambo can go 9 furlongs. But speed going long on the turf. Remember what we said at the top of the show. 2 wire-to-wire winners going long on the turf today. Speed on the turf was much better during week 3 than it had been the first 2 weeks of the meet. Things have dried up and tightened up and firmed up underneath the horses on the turf. So Bochambo comes off a sprint win, has never run farther than 6 furlongs, and now is asked to go 1 mile and 1/8. Sounds like a very difficult ask, but you got Flavian Pratt, who's a master turf jockey. I know he hasn't ridden the turf with the same success here as he has around the country. He's been better, way better on the dirt than the turf, just statistically here at this meet. But he's a hell of a turf rider. I mean, I would love to have loose speed like this with Flavian Pratt any day of the week and see if he can get the horse to nurse along. So Bochambo is my top pick in here. I am concerned, obviously, about the long distance of 1 mile and 1/8. So Bloodline for Brad Cox makes a lot of sense. Certainly one you want to keep in there. A third that you might consider is the other Brad Cox entrant, Tommy B, the 5, coming out of the Rushaway Stakes at Keeneland. So for me, while it looks like a 2-horse race according to the handicapper selectors box, I think you could throw the 5 in there, Tommy B, as well, and go 3 deep in here. 3, 5, and 6 goes to start the Keeneland Turf Pick 3. Remember, in this Keeneland Turf Pick 3, we're going to have Warlock Goddess later, so you're probably not going to be using a lot of combinations as we get further into this thing. And we know we've got a horse in the last race we like quite a bit, who's a morning line favorite, but 7 to 2-ish. So let's get the 3 deep here and get through this leg into Keeneland Turf Pick 3, and then we're hammering 2 singles later on. So Keeneland Turf Pick 3 on this Friday card is races 6, 8, and 10. I think favorites are going to win the 8th and the 10th. So let's get a little bit of coverage here and spread in the 6th. And we'll use 3, 5, 6 in the multi-race wagers like the pick 5 and the Keeneland Turf pick 3. Late pick 4, $200,000 guaranteed pool begins in race number 7. I've got the 5 Aswan on top. Brad Cox trains here. This could be where Brad Cox makes a move towards the training title. You know, Wesley Ward's got some horses early in the card there that look like they could be definite factors and are going to be among the favorites. Now Brad Cox is going to kind of, play his cards here as we hit the middle part of the program. He could be tough in back-to-back races, races 6 and 7. Aswan, first-time starter by Arrogate, a Juddmonte homebred with a good-looking work tab. Flavian Pratt rides for Cox. I like the 5 Aswan in race number 7, 6.5 furlong sprint, 4 to 3-year-old fillies. Sinwid, the 8 horses, one for Wesley Ward. As we get a head-to-head, Brad Cox, Wesley Ward, final head-to-head of the meet for those two as they battle for the training title. Sinwid, second-time starter, just missed by a nose in the debut. So you got Cox with the first-time starter, Ward with the second-timer who just missed at Turfway. The 5 and the 8 should be strong in this spot. The 1 Sacred Samurai comes off a layoff for Joe Sharp, who's had a bit of a struggle this meet. He hasn't had horses run bad. He just hasn't gotten to the winner's circle. He's been knocking on the door. One thing about Joe Sharp, you look and you see, he comes into this closing week with 12 starters, 8 of them in the money, but no wins. That's usually a barn that's about to have a good breakout streak. Now, I'm not saying Joe Sharp wins this race with Sacred Samurai. I think you want to consider him. But what I'm telling you, watch for Joe Sharp at Churchill Downs next. These trainers that are nibbling, they're higher percentage outfits, 15, 18, 20% barns. But they're going through an over streak, but they've got 8 for 12 in the money. They're close. They're really close. And when things turn around for the barn, it tends to snowball. So I would expect Joe Sharp to have a very good Churchill meet. Put that in your cap moving forward. He does go to Irad Ortiz in this spot, which is a very confident move. So the 1 Sacred Samurai could certainly be used. 5, 8, and 1, I think the 3, the main considerations. The 9, Rampacious, Spiketown filly. Jack Sisterson trains this one, or I should say a colt. These are colts in here. But big bullet workout. Rampacious could be ready to go first off the bench for a barn that doesn't ask for a lot from first-time starters. So these works are pretty big for Rampacious, for a Sisterson barn that doesn't win often with firsters. So the 9 is a consideration. 5, 8, 1, 9 in the 7th race. You got Cox, you got Ward. I don't think we're going to get a lot of value in here. You got Cox and Ward, unless you get the 1 or 9 involved, and then we'll see what the public does with those big workouts with the 9. Watch the tote board in race number 7. That will be the kickoff leg to the late pick 4, race number 7. So you'll see what's going on there with some of those first-time starters and young horses. It'll help you a lot more. The 6th race on the card, if you're going to hit a horse in the 6th to play the pick 5 that you like, that could get you into the pick 5. If you want to wait because the 4's got a couple blind spots, if you'd rather see the board, see the horses pre-race, then maybe the late pick 4 is the way to go for you today. But again, I'm going to tell you right now off the top, I've got 2 favorites, maybe 3 favorites in the final 3 races. So a pick 4 with 3 favorites is not going to be juicy enough to get too involved too deep. You're going to want to play a narrow ticket there. I don't think it's a spread around kind of sequence where we want to be playing a lot of different combinations. Let's go now next to the 8th race on the program. It's the feature. We showed you already. Warlike Goddess, the winner of last year's Bewitched Stakes. She's back, second time for the repeat here, second time over the course here at Keeneland in her career. Bill Mott trains, Joel Rosario rides. Warlike Goddess, absolutely the horse to beat if she's ready to go. Nobody's won the Bewitched in the last 15, 16 years, making their first start of the year, going back to the beginning of our database back in 2006. So Warlike Goddess will be bucking a trend in that respect. She hasn't run since she was probably best in the Breeders' Cup Filly Mare Turf. Made a little bit of a premature move. Julian Leperoux might have paid the price for that premature move. He's lost the mount. They're going to Joel Rosario, who's the best closing jockey in the game, finishing races off. Should be a perfect fit, a match here. Warlike Goddess, I think, is definitely the one to beat. Will she be ready? Will she buck that trend? Bill Mott had Channel Maker ready to go a mile and a half off the layoff last week to win the Elkhorn. Bill Mott's big horses are all running big all over the country. You think of horses like Olympiad, Speaker's Corner. He's got some really elite horses right now that are just dialed in. I would expect Warlike Goddess to be dialed in first time back. I think for $300,000, this is a serious spot for her. It'll kick off a campaign that'll send her back to New York and then come back here to Keeneland for the Breeders' Cup Filly Ameriturf at the end of the year. I think she'll get it done here. The one to fear is Family Way. I don't see anybody else with a chance in this spot. Family Way's in good form, winning the Orchid last out. Brendan Walsh has had a pretty good meet. Tyler Gaffleone trying to lock down that rider's title. He's got a shot in here with Family Way, but Joel Rosario's on the main mare here, Warlike Goddess. I don't see them beating her. And as for my cohorts in the handicapper selectors box, we're all on the 4-3 here, right? It's a two-horse race. Gabby did take the shot to take Family Way to beat Warlike Goddess, the only one to take that plunge. The rest of us are all on the favorite in here. And I'm not going to argue with anybody taking Warlike Goddess. I think she's a special turf mare, and I think she wins the Bewitched Stakes. She's a single in the pick 4, the pick 5, and the Keeneland Turf pick 3. To the 9th we go. It's an allowance race, optional claimer, 6.5 furlong sprint. I'm on the 7 in here, Canadian Pride. I think this horse will probably be right among the favorites. I think I've got 2 favorites, maybe 3 late in the day. I could see Canadian Pride getting bet to favoritism. Kim's on this horse. Scott's on this horse. I'm as well. Knee Deep in Snow, the top pick for Maker, and Gaffleone for Tom Leach and Gabby Gaudette. Can't argue with that. Knee Deep in Snow, a good horse from Southern California. Used to be with the Ruiz family, and now here on the Midwest and making her way to Kentucky for the first time. Knee Deep in Snow, a horse who had a run here at Keeneland once with the Ruiz family way back in the career. Might have been as a 2-year-old or a 3-year-old. I think Knee Deep in Snow is a good horse, a solid horse, but I think Canadian Pride probably just comes out of a little bit better races. Faced Cezanne last time out and ran a good third in the San Carlos after setting the pace at 7 furlongs. 6.5 should be good. We saw Peter Urton win with Dream Shake earlier this meet in one of these extended allowance sprints. He's bringing Canadian Pride back in later in the meet to maybe try to sweep these. Flavian Pratt rides. I would think the 7 and the 5 are definitely the 2 main contenders, along with the 1 in here. Surveillance drops in class out of the Prevalence race in the Commonwealth, which was a good effort, where Prevalence was strong late in there. So don't let that margin fool you. Prevalence was pulling away from everybody in the back end of that race. Surveillance finishing 4th, beaten 3.5. Looks like a little fade in the stretch, but that was the winner doing most of the damage in that respect. Of setting the tone. So Surveillance underneath, but for me, it's Canadian Pride, and Canadian Pride certainly one of the top picks in this race, along with Knee Deep in Snow for the public handicappers. Let's take one last look at the big board and the observation that we have for our best bets of the day with the big picture, because the 10th race, the final on the program, the final of the meet, is our 3rd key play of the day. We've got the morning line favorite in here. It's a lukewarm morning line favorite at 7-2 odds. It's Tallahatchie Bridge. Now, I might be a day late and $1 short here, but I thought Ken and Sarah Ramsey and the Ramsey Farm saved a couple horses that were really live for the end of the meet here at Keeneland. The spots can get a little bit easier at the tail end of the meet than they are at the beginning. You know the Ramseys love to get to the winner's circle at Keeneland with all of their being. Safi Joseph brought one up from Florida who won today. I picked the horse underneath and thought it would run well, ran well, really well, and won. So are we a day late with the Ramsey Joseph Raiders, or is it just going to continue and follow suit? Tallahatchie Bridge here, the 7 horse, coming off a good race at Gulfstream, a win in maiden special weight company, steps right into the allowance ranks. I like that form. Tyler Gaffleone the ride. I think it's Tallahatchie Bridge to close things out. And what we've got here is a 12-horse field with a 7-2 morning line favorite. So there's a chance to really kind of get into the exotics here. Who do you like underneath? Can you get in for 2nd, 3rd, 4th, getting down into a superfecta? I think the 8's got a shot in here for Verstappen to be a piece of it for Brendan Walsh. Good pedigree for this one to go long, foreign pedigree. I think the mile and 3/16 will definitely suit the 8. I think the 12 Rocket 1 for the aforementioned Bill Mott, who's got a good spring going, and he'll have the big mare in the stakes race. A lot of times supporting cast is a good follow when a big horse comes out of a barn to run in a big stakes race. A lot of times they've got ones for the undercard. So the 12 Rocket 1, certainly a consideration, in the 9 Speaking Scout for a Graham Motion barn that got off to a fast start at this meet and hasn't had a lot of numbers, but usually what he's run, Graham's horses have run pretty well. So 7 over the 8, 12, and 9, the way I'll lock down in the last race. If you want to try to get a huge price in there with them, use the all button in third or second, 7 with all with 8, 12, 9, and the logical horses running underneath. And you can catch some big bingo there in between. On the 50-cent tries, you don't have to spend a whole lot to do a bet like that. And maybe you catch a big one on the way out at the meet. But I think it's 7 over the 8, 12, 9 in the exactive pool where you really want to kind of go after this last race. And I am singling the 7 Tallahatchie Bridge. I'm all in on this one. So when I'm looking at a late pick 4, late pick 5, or the Keeneland Turf pick 3, I'm down to a single in the last race, and that means the price of the ticket doesn't change whatsoever from the number of combinations I had previous. You're just multiplying by 1. Part of the beauty of a single, and I don't think it's going to be a very expensive ticket. When we look at that Keeneland Turf pick 3, I think there's 3 horses in race 6 we talked about. You've got the single of Warlike Goddess in the 8th, and we got the single of the 7-2 shot morning line, Tallahatchie Bridge in the finale. That's 3 by 1 by 1, and it's a $3 minimum. So that's just a $9 ticket. I think you're playing the Keeneland Turf pick 3 to hit it more than once on this particular program. This is the kind where if you're usually like a $30 better, the ticket's only going to cost $9. So buy it 3 times and spend your $27 that way instead of spreading out your combinations and trying to hit it just once for $3. I think they're going to get 2 favorites are going to win in this Keeneland Turf pick 3. And I think you'll want to hit it multiple times and try to build out value on those favorites. It'll still pay better than just betting those horses straight up to win. You benefit by betting, even if it's chalky in that respect, is it's kind of like a parlay. You got to get all 3. There's some gamble involved in there, but it almost always pays considerably better than the parlay of those horses would. So Keeneland Turf pick 3, focus ticket on closing day. Don't use too many combinations. We'll close with the single of Tallahatchie Bridge. That's going to wrap up the handicapping for the Friday card. We wish you best of luck on the April 29th program. A reminder, 12:30, the first post time. Scott and Gabby will have Today at Keeneland for you tomorrow morning before all the races. Be sure to tune in to them. Go to Keeneland.com to get more handicapping insights from the Keeneland handicapper selection box, our handicappers consensus, as well as all the racing analysts and experts who have put out their effort and their time and their expertise in various fields that they specialize in. Their content has been on the website all meet long. Tip of the cap to them for good work as well in providing you, the horse player, with a better chance. And I want to thank Darren Mullins and the folks in the Keeneland marketing department for having me do this program this meet. They come to me each meet and said, you have some ideas that you want to do. I pitched them on this idea, and they said, let's run with it and try it. It's been great. 2,500, 3,000 of you each night watching this program to get ready for the next day's racing. Flattered with the audience, and so thankful that you've joined us throughout the course of these 15 nights. Maybe we'll do it again next fall and get ready towards the Breeders' Cup. At the Keeneland Look Ahead, we're going to close the book on it now. I wish you all the best of handicapping and good luck tomorrow. And good luck in the Kentucky Derby. We got a big race coming up in about 8.5 days from now. So on behalf of everybody at Keeneland and Horse Player Now, I'm Jeremy Plonk signing off. Good night, everybody.